You guys, hey! Today is all about getting our rounds ready for the week, so come along with me as I cut out some 12, 18, and 15-inch rounds. I am starting with a 12-inch round here, and I like to work smarter instead of harder, so I have that square cut out so that it is the perfect size for my 15-inch rounds to give me the perfect center point. So for this 12-inch round, I just adjust a little bit and bring it in so that it fits for a 12-inch round. Now you might be wondering, well, Katie, why the heck don't you just cut this out on your laser? And I'll tell you why. It's because I have a 40-watt We Create laser, and it only has a cutting area of 10.5 inches by 15 inches. So I cannot cut out more than a 10.5-inch round. I used to let that limit me on what I was able to do, but then I learned how to use some power tools and make my own dang bigger circles. Also, it's like 60 degrees in February, so we moved all of this outside today, which was incredible. So now that I have my center point pre-drilled and I've attached the center pivot, it's time to go ahead and get the router set to the correct length, which again, I'm doing a 12-inch circle here, and then make sure that the little slot on the underside of that aluminum extender or whatever sits correctly on that center pivot. I was advised to get the DEWALT plunge router corded edition, and I am really regretting my decision in that, as this cord gets in my way 99% of the time. With that being said, this Milescraft Circle Jig and this plunge router have been incredible. I just don't like the cord. Before I turn the router on and start cutting, I go through and make sure that I am within all of my dimensions and that I'm not going to start cutting a circle and run off into, another circle or the edge of the board. And look at that beautiful circle now. When I remove that center pivot, I am left with a small hole in the middle of the board, so I just grab some wood filler. In this case, I'm using some Gorilla wood filler in natural tone to fill that in, let it sit for about 2 hours, and then sand it off. All right, now it's time to repeat, because not only do we have a sign drop happening on Friday, but we also have a sign party happening, so we need to have our 15-inch rounds ready for that as well. Again, we're going to work smarter, not harder here. I'm going to use that board to mark my center point, but I also want to make sure that I have enough clearance to squeeze a 15-inch round in there. Speeding this up a little bit because I did not move this quickly in real time. Now we have our center point pre-drilled, and we're going to attach that center pivot and go ahead and get the router brought up. And now I need to adjust this back up to a 15-inch round. Line everything up, make sure that our distance is good all the way around. And in this case, it was not quite where I needed it, so I had to move that center point again. Do all of this with a 3/4-inch piece of MDF underneath the wood so that my router can go just a little bit deeper than the depth of my wood and it doesn't cut into my table. Here we go again with that. I like to work smarter, not harder. And now that I already have some circles cut out, instead of measuring with the measuring tape or the board, I like to lay them out so that I can maximize how many circles I can get out of each section of wood. It's also very helpful because you already have a center point pre-drilled, so then you can just drill your next center point right through that pre-drilled hole and then go ahead and attach your center pivot. I did not have even pressure pushed down on the router on this circle, so I had a little splintering on the edge of this, so just a quick sand down takes care of that issue. Now we have more circles to cut, so we are going to use that same method of laying out the pre-cut circles to maximize how many circles we can get into this sheet of wood. I am always having to move and readjust where I set down my tools because I'm working on this smaller table, and if that aluminum piece hits it, then my power tools will fall off the table. So don't mind me readjusting everything. All right, now it's time to reset for the next board. I forgot to hit record as I started cutting the next boards, but we just repeated the same process.